Good day. Today we will be looking at June 2023, Paper 2, Question 3. This is an analytical geometry question. So I wanted to start by slightly revising analytical geometry. So what do we need to know in the topic of analytical geometry? So let's create a mind map, analytical geometry. You need to know your distance formula. These are things that are given in the formula sheet, but you must be able to identify which one is your distance formula. So taking a look here, this is our distance formula D. I'm not going to write it out, but I want you to be able to identify from your formula sheet what is your distance formula. Next, you must know your midpoint. Here's our midpoint. Midpoint formula. You must also know how to calculate the gradient, as well as you will get concepts here that require you to find the equation of a straight line. And also a very important concept that is not noted here is the angle of inclination. And how do you find the angle of inclination? Tan of whatever angle is being asked to calculate is equal to m, which is your gradient. Okay, let's go back up to our question, which is question 3. Okay, so in question 3, it says here in the diagram, the equation AF is y is equal to minus x minus 3. So let's just highlight the key important things that we get given. Okay. It thereafter says B, a point on the y-axis, is the midpoint of the straight line joining A and C. So B is our midpoint. Want a different color. Okay, so B is the midpoint. Okay. And it is the midpoint of A and C. And we get given A, we have A's x value, but we don't have A's y value. Next, they tell us the angle of inclination of AF and AC is A. So here we've got two angles of inclination here, an alpha, and here it's 63.43. So I'm going to highlight all the information that I get given. Next, it says AF cuts the x-axis in E. D is a point such that DE is parallel. I always love to emphasize my parallel lines because parallel lines can help us in many ways. Okay. Now that we have that, let's look at what we need to calculate first. So firstly, they ask us to calculate the value of t. And we get given the equation on that line. We have an x value and we want to find t. So that is a fairly easy question. 3.1.1. So the equation that we have is y is equal to minus x y is equal to minus x minus 11. And we are going to substitute our values for a, which is minus 1, and t. We want to find t. So let's substitute. T is the y value, a is negative 1. So be careful here, you still keep that negative. X is negative 1 minus 11. t is equal to, so now a negative and a negative is a positive 1, minus 11. T will therefore be equal to negative 10. So now that we have t, we can go back here and we can fill that in. Black. So a is negative 1, but it is 10. Negative 10 actually. Negative 10. Okay, so we have completed question 1. The next question asks us to find the size of alpha. And what did we say? How do we find the size of alpha? Tan, and they told us it's an angle of inclination. So tan of alpha is equal to m. We have the gradient because it tells us in this equation it is negative 1. So tan alpha is equal to negative 1. So we use our calculator to calculate that. You do shift tan, negative 1, close bracket, it's negative 45. So alpha is equal to, so the reference angle is negative 45, but we can see here that this angle is greater than 45. So we've got to add, so the reference angle is 45. This is my reference angle. I've got to add 90 to it, and that is going to be equal to 135 degrees. Okay, let's fill that in. Okay. So now that we have that information, the next question says calculate the gradient of AC to the nearest whole number. Okay, so how are we going to calculate the gradient of AC? Let's see what we get given. Well, they did tell us that this is the angle of inclination, and we just did an equation of with inclination, and that uses the gradient. So we can use the same information once again to help us. So tan of 6343 is going to be equal to the gradient. What is tan of 63.43 degrees? It's equal to 1.999, which is 2. So it's equal to 2. So the gradient is 2. The gradient of AC is 2. Okay, our next question 3.2 says determine the equation of AC in the form of y is equal to mx. Okay, so we're still working with AC. We just calculated the gradient. Okay, important to know that, so we want this equation. When you are finding the equation of a straight line, what are the things that you need to find? You need to find the gradient, and you need to find your y-intercept. Okay, so we have our gradient. Our gradient is 2. So y is equal to 2x plus k. We just need k. And what can we substitute to find k? We can substitute a. So we're going to substitute a, which we know is negative 1 to negative 10. Okay, so my y value is negative 10. My x value is negative 1 plus k. So negative 10 is equal to negative 2 plus k. K will be equal to negative 10 plus 2. K will therefore be equal to negative 8. So my equation is y is equal to 2x minus 8. And that is the equation of AC. So let me go and fill that in here. Y is equal to 2x minus 8. Okay, there we go. Our next question says calculate the coordinates of C. Okay, so looking here, let's go back. We've given our points for A. We have been given that B is the midpoint of this line. We know that this is equal to this, okay? We want C. How are we going to find that? Well, from everything that we've been given, we can see the midpoint formula coming into play. The only thing that we need to find is our coordinates of B, which we can find. So firstly, what do we know about B? It's sitting on the x-axis. So what is its x value? We don't know, but we know that y is 0. So let's find our coordinates of B. We have figured out the equation, so we can do that. So our equation is y is equal to 2x minus 8. And we are going to substitute a y value of 0 to find our x value. So 0 is equal to 2x minus 8. 2x is equal to 8. Divide by 2 on both sides. X will be equal to 4. So the coordinates of B is going to be 4, 2, 0. Okay. Let's fill that in. 4. Now we can use our midpoint formula, which we have in our formula sheet. Here's my midpoint formula. So I'm going to write it out here. x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 over 2. Let's go back up. Okay, so we're finding the coordinates of C. That is what we are finding. So we have A. A is -1, -10, and we want C, which is going to be my x2 and my y2. Okay, so let's start with x. The first value, we know the midpoint is 4. 4 is equal to my x1, which is -1, plus x2, which I want to find, over 2. For y, I know my y value of B is 0. My y value of A is -10 plus y2 over 2. Now we're going to solve. We're going to cross multiply. We're going to get 8. -1 plus x2. x2 is equal to -1 minus 8. x2 is equal to positive 8. We're keeping x2 there, -1, -8, it's -9. Is that correct? Let me just double check. -1 plus my x2 is equal to 2, 8. I'm taking the 1 to the other side, so it's supposed to actually be +1. +1, +8, x is equal to +9. Sorry about that. Let's look here on the side. We're going to cross multiply. We're going to get 0. -10 plus y2. We're going to take the 10 to the other side. 10 is equal to y2. So now we know our values of C. Our coordinates are 9 to 10. Okay. Our next question says find the size of FED. Okay. So let's take a look here. So what are we finding? We're finding this angle here. Okay. And what I can see is that I can see that I've got this parallel line formation, which I know is my alternate angles. So I know that this angle here will be equal to this angle here. Okay, from alternate angles, they're parallel. So if I can find this angle, I can find that angle, I can use angles on a straight line. So let's first see how we can find this angle. So what angles have we been given? we've calculated 135. This is a straight line. So 180 minus 135 this is going to be 45. Okay. Here I've got another angle. This is vertically opposite. So this angle inside here is 63.43. Okay. Now that I have that, I can see a triangle. So I can find this angle here. 180 minus 45 minus 63.43. 71.57. And we said initially alternate angles, so that is also equal to this. I'm trying to show you how you should be thinking about this, but there are alternate ways of doing this question. There's a straight line here, so I can say 180 minus my answer, which is 71.57, and I get it to be 108.48. Okay, so that was we've done a lot of steps there. So let's recap and write out our answer in a chronological way. So the first thing that I said was, let's first look at what angles we were given. We calculated alpha to be 135. We have a straight line there. So I calculated BEA. Okay, so let's calculate that. So I'm going to say alpha plus angle BEA is equal to 180. Remember your reasons, angles on a straight line. Okay, my alpha is 135 degrees. I want to calculate BEA 180. BEA is going to be equal to 180 minus 135. Therefore, BEA is equal to 45. Okay, that's step one. Next, we saw this angle was vertically opposite. So, angle, well, we can just say we were 63.43 is equal to OBA vertically opposite. Now we've got a triangle. You can see the triangle. So in triangle EAB, angle, the first angle that we have, which is BEA, plus angle A plus angle OBA. Sorry about that. Let's shift up. Is equal to 180, and that is sum of angles of a triangle. So we know we calculated BEA 45. We want to find A. That's what we're just working through the steps of what we have already discussed. This was 63.43 is equal to 180. So angle A is going to be 180 minus 45 minus 63.43. Angle A is equal to 71.57. I am still referring to the values that I filled in here, but at this step, I would suggest you still double check yourself on your calculator. Okay, after finding that, what did we do? We said that angle A is also equal to angle DEA, so that angle there, because of alternate angles. And remember, when you say one of the parallel line reasons, you must also say what are your parallel lines. DE is parallel to AB. Okay, so they were parallel. Therefore, we can say they were equal, and they were both equal to 71.57 degrees. Angle DEA plus angle, what angle are we finding? FED equal to 180 angles on a straight line. So DEA, what did we say? It's 71.57 plus FED is equal to 180. FED is equal to 180 minus 71.57. Therefore, FED is 108.43. That was a lot that we had to do there. How many marks was this question? 3. As I said, there are alternate ways, but I think that this is the easiest way with working with what you can see. Okay, the next question, which is a 4-mark question, says that G is a point such that EAGC in that order is a parallelogram. So let's try to draw this because they say that it must be in that order. So let's erase we need what we have. So EA, we're going to put G here on the line. G. GC. GC. So I'm going to draw my line to G to C, from C to E. Okay, and that is our parallelogram. Okay, we're now going to look at 3.4. So 3.4 says G is a point such that EAGC in that order is a parallelogram. Okay, so I have drawn it here already, but let's take a look. So EA, I've drawn G here, connecting to C, and from C to E is a parallelogram. We know our coordinates of G, we need to find our coordinates of G, and B is the midpoint, okay? And it wants us to find the equation of a circle centered at G and passing through the point B. So, and write your answer in the form of this. So we just need to find the coordinates of G, and we should be able to substitute to find R. So our step 1 for this question is to find our coordinates of G. Okay, which we are going to do using E, B to find G. So E, we can see, we know the equation, we don't know what our X value is, but we can substitute. So Y is equal to negative X minus 11. We're going to substitute because Y is equal to 0. So 0 is equal to negative X minus 11. I'm going to take the X to the other side. X is equal to negative 11. So the values of E is negative 11, 0. B we've calculated already is 4 is to 0. We want to now find our coordinates of G using the midpoint formula. X1, X2 over 2, Y1 plus Y2 over 2. Let's start with substituting. So 4 is equal to negative 11 plus X2 over 2. And let's cross multiply. 8 is equal to negative 11 plus X2. 8 plus 11 is equal to X2. X2 is equal to 19. Let's find my Y value. Y is equal to 0 plus Y2 over 2. 0 is equal, well, it's going to be 0. My Y value is 0. So G is 19 to 0. Now that we have that, we can substitute into the equation that we have here. So X minus 19 squared plus Y minus 0 squared is equal to R squared. What values are we going to substitute to find R? We can substitute the values of, say, let's say E. Okay, if we're going to substitute, or B, let's use B because it's 4 to 0. So 4 minus 19 squared plus 0 minus 0 squared is equal to r squared. So let's do that. 4 minus 19 squared, 225 is equal to r squared. We don't need to find r because we just need to write our answer in the form of that. So therefore my answer is going to be x minus 19 squared plus y squared, because it's just 0, is equal to 225. Okay, now that we're done, let's quickly go over mark allocations. Okay, starting from the beginning. So the first question, we're looking back, asked us to find the value of t. Okay, finding the value of t was just a 2-mark question. Okay, and you got marks awarded here for substituting into that equation and for your value of t. So that was 2 marks. Next, we had to find the size of alpha. Here you had to know the equation of inclination, that was 1 mark, and a mark for knowing you had to add 90, which is 135. Okay. The next one was finding the gradient. Also here, knowing tan of that angle is equal to the gradient, and your answer, 2 marks. The next one was finding the equation of AC. Also 2 marks for substituting the m, and substituting a was 1 mark, and for your equation was 2 marks. Thereafter, we found the coordinates of C. To find the coordinates of C, this was 3 marks, 1 mark for finding the value of B, the x value, another mark for 9, another mark for 10, and that was your 3 marks. And then thereafter, we found the size of FED. Here you got 1 mark for this angle, another mark for this angle, and your final mark was for your answer. Also 3 marks. And then the last one was 4 marks, which is actually quite a lot for this question because it was actually pretty simple if you could draw your image and figure out that you needed to find the coordinates of G. So your first mark is just for the 11 of E. The second one is for the 19. The third one is for this part of the portion and for R, and that was 4 marks. So this was an 18-mark question. You can actually score very high marks in analytical geometry because you just need to know this list. Thank you so much.